Coding challenge review, intermediate, 28th of January. It's almost we're completing the first half of the bootcamp, eh? Time flies. Oh my God, can't believe that. Oh my God, can't believe that. Oh, that was a bit unexpected, right? It was my voice. Right. So that. Let's crack on. So we got on the intermediate few questions, right? So let's have a look to the first one, and then we'll go step by step. So question number 1, search. Interesting. I think that's the very first time ever that we got a question about regex, right? Which is a good thing. It's a good thing. So what we have here is essentially a couple of strings. So the first one is just a sentence, random sentence, and then a token. So we need to find where the token, where the second argument is within the first one, right? The index. So how many arguments do we have? One, two. Tell me. First one. Sentence and token. Okay, fair enough. So the question explicitly asks to use, I believe, a regular expression, or maybe not explicitly. So we have freedom, right? We can do whatever we want, even though the resources are particularly interested on us using regex. So let's use regex. So to use regex, first of all, we need to create a regex object. So let me create a new object. So let RE, for example, new regex. So then, as part of the first argument, essentially we specify here what do we want, what are we interested on, to find, to search, to execute, to match, to whatever, right? So what we want to match is the token. Right? So let's leave it there for now. And then, because we want to search where the token is, fortunately regex has a method called search on strings. So we can do sentence.search. And here we can search what are we looking for, right? So we are looking for the regex object. What do you think, guys? Will this work?
No.
Why not?
I flag.
Correct. Let's see what happens when we run this example. Interesting. Interesting. So it's unable to return anything, right? So why is this happening? Because, as Mo suggested, we want to perform an insensitive search and global. Global shouldn't matter here because we want to find the first instance of the given token. Global makes sense when we want to return them all. But in that case, we don't care. We just want the first one. So the way to solve it is putting an I on the right-hand side. So what that means is don't pay attention to the case of the token. As far as it matches, regardless of whether it's uppercase, lowercase, whatever, then it's fine, right? And then it works. It works. I've seen some people trying to do something like that, trying to do return sentence.search and then passing a regular expression here like that. Right? You see what I'm trying to do here? So I'm trying to search the new token, new, and then replace it by token. So this obviously doesn't work because that will statically look for something called new NEW. We don't want that. Oh, well, maybe fair enough. On the first example, we want that. But on the others, we don't want new. We want something else, right? We want something dynamic. That's why we can't use that pattern. We need to create a regex object like that, and then we can pass a token here. Some of you, I'm sure you've tried to do something like that. Things like that, right? Or try to combine, strings, template. No, that doesn't work with regex. That doesn't work like that. Regex are a bit special. That's the way we solve it, right? And then it works. So let me quickly review what you did here. So Bala, he was using his index of, which is fine because we are not asked explicitly to use regex, even though this is part of the regex training, right? But that's okay. Poppy is literally the same thing, right? That's all good. Then Megan at the bottom. Ooh. It's too complicated, right? It's a bit complicated, right? So you can see, Megan, how easy this problem is using regex, right? Jaff and Jonan. So Jaff, regex, no problem at all. Still using double quotes. Apart from that, all good. Jonan, so is converting everything into capitals and then is looking for that word, right? Which is still okay, but again, a bit more complicated. Then Ashley, good, right? Regex, variable name, perfect. Same for Rafa, all good here. And then Aisel, the same thing. You see, Aisel is adding a G. You see the G? Yeah. So G stands for search globally, which in that case doesn't make any difference because we want to find the first one. Richard is converting to lowercase, then trying to get index of. Very similar to what Bala did. Not sure if he got a penalty here on the elegance, but apart from that, all good. Natasha, same thing, regex, all good, and then more regex as well. It's pretty much it, right? Really good. So question number 2, get vowel count. Ooh, I like this question. So we have a random word or sentence, and we want to determine how many vowels do we have as part of it, right? There are several ways to solve that problem. I'm going to use reduce. How many arguments do we have? 1. Name of the argument, please. Include string. I don't even know what the content of the string is. Could be something absolutely random. Sentence, a word, a character, maybe even. String. Okay, fair enough. So then, my strategy is the following. I'm going to analyze each character of the string, and then for each character, I will check, is it a number? Sorry, is it a vowel or not? If it's a vowel, then increase the counter. If not, you leave the counter as it was, right? So, how do we convert a string into an array of individual characters? Split, that's correct. That's correct. Return string dot split, what, like that? Without any argument? Single quotes, right? Or double quotes, but empty quotes at the end of the day. Yeah? And then, look, I'll use reduce to analyze the details. So what's the first argument of reduce? The accumulator, because I already know what I want to return. I want to return the count, you see? Get the vowel count. I'm going to call it count straight away. And what's the second argument? It's missing a what? Oh yes, it's missing a dot. That's correct, Rafa. Yeah. count, and then what? Character, correct? And here, right? Now I want to check, please can someone ask Richard to join, if possible, if it's not too late? Correct. So now here I can do, well, technically skip it easy for now, right? So if is vowel, right, like that, character, return, count, plus plus. Else, return what? Count. Correct. Do we need any default value? 0, that's correct, because by default, how many vowels do we have? 0, right? I think it's pretty sensitive. So now, sensible, not sensitive. Now, is vowel. How do we create the is vowel function? How do we check if a given character is a vowel or not? Return what? Regex, okay. Okay, yeah, well, we could use Regex. What?
String of vowels and then check for that character.
Includes, I like includes. Right, can we do that? A, E, I, O, U, dot, includes character. Right? Pretty simple, right? So, if we do that, and let me check if Richard wants to join us, because I think I'm mute. Why am I mute? I don't know. No, he's not in. Right. Anyway. So, again, that will return true if character is a vowel, and that will return false if character is not a vowel. That's what I wanted to mention, yes. So the includes method works with two types of data, arrays, but also strings. So we can simplify that even further. Look. Easy. Very easy, right? Right. So now here we say, if the vowel, if it's a vowel, if that character is a vowel, increase the counter. If not, then leave it as it is. Can we use a ternary operator here? Probably we can, right? Return is vowel, then 1 line, right? So easy. We can maybe even put everything in 1 line here. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Yes, I'm sure we can, but we may get penalties on the elegance, right? So I think that's decent enough. So what do you think, guys? Will this work, yes or no, and why? It should work, right? Let's have a look. Oh. What's going on? It doesn't really work, right? So I did something wrong. Let's try to analyze why. What? So essentially, we are returning nothing. So let me try to change something. Oh, that was it. So you see the problem is, I put count plus plus. When you put count plus plus, it means it first evaluates the line and then adds 1. So that's why here is a bit confusing. So we can either change that to put plus plus count, like increase the number by 1, so that will work. That will work. Or we can simply do return count plus 1. So if count was 0, return 1. If count was 1, return 2. And so on. Yeah? Any question? No? Cool. So let me check what you did here. Oh, Daniel. right? So Daniel is essentially, you know, checking if it's a for loop, classic for loop, right? But I hope, Daniel, you've learned how to simplify this logic, right? How to use includes. Cool, nice. Then Bala, he interestingly is using a regex, right? You see? So that's very clever indeed, right? So he's looking for any instance of any vowel globally. That means if we have more than one, fetch them all. Insensitive, that means we don't care if it's upper or lower case. And then if we didn't get anything, return 0. Otherwise, return matches dot length. Just a very subtle thing for Bala, because I think this is very elegant. I love the first line. The thing on the second line, we could simplify it a bit. So for example, let me copy the entire example because okay, Mo did it. Okay, so let me check what Mo did in a minute. Right, where is Mo? Mo is everywhere, right? He's in the toilet. He's wherever he wants, right? So Mo, pretty much the same thing, but I'm. Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah, you see, that's the ternary, right? If I got any result, then get the length. Otherwise, it's 0. So I think this is very, very elegant indeed. So what else do we have here? We have from the left Ashley, which literally did the same thing we did, right? He used filter. Well, not the same thing. Sorry, he used filter, and then length is absolutely respectable. Very good to see that you're using includes on strings, right? Good. And then Poppy, another Regex, which is interesting. Megan, classic for each, right? Increasing a counter, using includes, vowels, yeah, all good. Jonan is the long way, right? Comparing is A, is E, is I, O, U. All these things, right? And sorry, let me check something because I think the sound is off. So yeah, so now the speakers are on. I'm not sure if anyone is following on the other side of the line. It's working? No, the audio is working. I know the audio is working, but what I'm not sure is whether there is anyone in Hangouts on the other side of the line. It's Jonan.
Yeah, I've been hearing you.
Okay. Okay, perfect, Jonan. Yeah, so obviously feel free to interrupt me anytime if you want to participate, okay? Cool. Acel, Regex, Richard, filters, Ashley, and then Mo, you know, all these things. Looking good, guys. Then let's jump to question number 3. Multiply. Oh, we've done, not sure if that particular question, but we've done several questions many times already, right? So we have a function. How many arguments our function has? 1? Wrong. None. You see? Open and close parentheses. No arguments at all. And then what our multiply function returns? Another function, correct. Let's do that. Return function. And then what? So that function, do we have any argument as part of the inner higher order function?
Yes.
Number, right? Correct. And then return what? Number times 4. So that means if we got 4, we return 16. With 3, number times 3, correct. Like that, right? Can we use an arrow function? Yeah. Let's do that. Number, look how simple this is with an arrow function. That's it, right? We don't even need the parentheses. You can leave them for readability purposes. That's something personal. But that should be pretty much it. One line. Let's see if that works. it does work, right? Any question? No? Right.
One question, I've obviously got to learn higher order functions more, but
I think, sorry, Jonan, I think
yes.
I think there are some issues with the, Jonan, sorry, I think there are some issues. Can you start again?
Yes, no, I need to learn higher order functions better.
Yeah.
To invoke this,
Yeah.
Can you just write, what would you do to invoke this function then, just to see where the number fits in?
Not sure if I got the question, Jonan.
So to invoke this function.
Yeah. Which function? Multiply.
Multiply, yeah.
Yeah.
So you literally just write multiply, open bracket, close bracket,
Yeah.
open bracket,
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All good. I'm just trying to. I need to learn them.
Yeah. So the multiplier function, which is a normal classic function, will be automatically called by our examples, right? So we're going to automatically invoke multiply on the first example, just passing no arguments, but then because there is another parenthesis afterwards, then we know that multiply will return another function, right? That's the way it works.
Cool. Okay.
Right, so let me check what you did here. Multiply, Daniel. All good, right? Classic function. No problem at all. Bala, you see how easy this is? Right? Nice and clean. Poppy, classic function. Same for Megan. Yeah, I'm happy to see that you finally, managed to understand that properly, right? Because I think pretty much everybody, or most of you at least, learn how to do it. So next time, try to use an arrow function as far as possible, like Bala, right? Or like Richard as well. Yeah. Any question? No? Cool. Question number 4. It's probably my favorite question on the intermediate. Why? Because it's from a human point of view, it takes maybe 5 seconds to understand the problem, right? Have a list of cities, which one is more than once? But then, technically speaking, even though the solution is very simple, that may not be that obvious. Right. So, let's have a look. We have a list of cities, and we have our friend Richard. Here you go. Hi, Richard. So we are reviewing the 4th question of the intermediate. Please remember to mute yourself unless obviously you want to participate. We can't hear Richard. Oh, everyone is mute. Where is that noise coming from? I don't know. Cool. Anyway, so let's have a look to the problem. So how many arguments do we have? 1, cities, right? Correct. So now, the problem is, I want to find the first city that is listed more than once. So cities is an array. Which method on the array gives us the first element that matches one condition? Which one? Filter, wrong. Find. Filter gives all the matching conditions. Find just the first one. We just want one, right? I mean, look at the left. We don't expect an array of repeated cities. We just expect one string. Right. So now we know find. So what's the argument that find receives? City. Nice. And now that's the tricky part. So that's the condition. How do we know if that city is listed more than once? Can we use filter? With filter, if you look at how much the question changes. If the question was, you received Vienna, for example, tell me how many times Vienna is listed in the array. Easy, right? Filter.length, right? So that now is pretty much the same thing. Here, pay attention because that's important. we're going to do return cities.filter, and then I don't want to use city again because it will conflict with that variable name, so I'll call it a city or whatever you want. And then what's the filter? So city equals a city. So, but we're not done yet. We want to check if a city is listed more than once. More than one. So we can do dot length is greater than 1. So for each city, try to find how many times the city is listed in the same array, get the length. So if it's more than once, like Vienna, we'll say 1, 2 times. The size of the array is 2, right? So that will return truthy, because that line will return truthy, find will stop looking for new cities. So if we run that, right, it doesn't work yet, and we'll see in a minute why, because I forgot to add a return statement, right? All these things that happen. And now it works. Let's recap. Find the city that matches a condition. Fair enough. What's the condition? The condition is that that city is listed more than once, at least twice. As soon as that condition is met, then stop. Questions? No? No questions means that if that exercise comes again on Wednesday, everybody will be able to answer it, right? We are never ever going to review that question again. Never ever, I promise. So if you have any question, either now or afterwards, try to play with it, right?
I struggled with it. I tried to use map instead of find, and then I don't know, somehow it wasn't returning, it was returning undefined.
Yeah, because remember map makes sense when you want to transform a function into another function of the same dimensions. But that's not what we want. We want to identify one city, right? We don't want to transform the array. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are other ways to solve it, but to me this is pretty elegant. So let me have a look to what you did here. I'm very curious. So Daniel, that's very interesting. It's very interesting. Where are you doing that from, Daniel? Because it's not the first time I see that algorithm. I think I've seen that in Stack Overflow, right? I'm talking seriously. No, I doesn't want to tell you that you took it from Stack Overflow, but I've seen other people doing literally the same thing, which to me is weird because I find this way more complicated. Maybe it's just a personal thing. Maybe it's just easier, right? Yeah. So what Daniel is doing? Okay, Daniel, can you explain that?
I find that the factor, which one's the
so Daniel is confirming my theory that he copied that from somewhere, right? Because yeah. Yeah. Right, that's obviously wrong. That's obviously wrong. The most important, I prefer you to fail on a question, but understand the few things you've done than copying something from the internet, because if there is a bug on that algorithm, we'll be absolutely unable to understand what's going on and to solve it, right? So please don't do copy-paste from the internet. That's evil. I'll try to explain what's going on, even though it's not trivial for me neither. So we got filter function that will run several times. So for each time we run filter, we run that function. So then we say, okay, self. What's self? Self is the array itself. That's why I noticed that was a copy paste from the internet, because it's a very weird name to name functions. So self points to the array. So then he says, okay, Vienna. Is Vienna index of Vienna? So what's Vienna index of Vienna? Is 0, because that's the first time. Is different to index? No. because 0 is not different to 0. No problem at all. Check the next one. What's the next one? Florence. Florence, index of Florence, that returns 1. Index is 1. Is 1 different to 1? No. No problem. Next one. Bruges. How do you pronounce that? Bruges. So, index 2. That returns 2. Is 2 different than 2? No. Next one. We got Vienna again. Look at that. Vienna, index is 3. But index of returns the first time that it shows, right, in the list. Because the first time Vienna shows it's 0, 0 is different to 3, so then I will be truthy, because that will be truthy, that element will be added to the array, and because it will be added to the array, it will pop it, returning the last element, which is the first one, because it's the only one, you know, all these things. I think that's a bad solution, because of 2 reasons. First of all, because it's complex, it's hard to read. The reason number 2 is using filter, and then it's popping, right? So it's taking the element on top of the array. What's the point of filtering and then keeping just one solution? Say it again? Well, it works, of course it works, because filter will return one element, an array of one element. By popping that element, it will return the string, right? But that's completely unnecessary. We could use find, right? Use find, and that's it. So this is absolutely unnecessary. Please, I don't want to see that code again on any of the training, on any of the challenges, right? Right. What else? Bala. So Bala is using map. Yep.
And just get the first element.
Yep. Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Bala. Poppy. Yeah, for loop. And then it's counting. And then if one of the elements was already found, that means that it's the second time, then return it. Okay, fair enough. Ooh. Yeah. Return undefined bloody elegance. Why not? Why not? I mean, you can see many different approaches, right? I think everyone has done something a bit different. So I'm not going to review them all. But what I can see, generally speaking, is that first of all, that was a complex question. That's the first conclusion, right? And then you wrote, generally speaking, too much. There was a way simpler mechanism, right? So, for example, Mo, he did pretty much what I did, right? Cities.find. However, even though he did pretty much the same thing, find and then filter, what do you think about that name, repeated city? I think that's horrible. Oh. Because you're assuming that every value here will be a repeated city. But maybe not, right? Why repeated? No. Maybe one of all the values will be repeated, but not necessarily. So don't call it repeated city, because that's not necessarily true.
But what he's trying to say is he's trying to find the repeated city.
Yeah, I know what he's trying to do, but that name confuses me. It takes me longer to understand the code because the name is wrong. The name of the... Say again? Just put city, correct. Maybe that city may be repeated or not. We don't know yet. Huh? Cool. Anything else? No? Jonan? Richard?
Could you just run through copies? I haven't done as much using for.
Poppies. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, here's poppies.
Yeah. Could we run through through that? Just sort of explain the logic. I'm just trying to get 4.
Yeah, so essentially she loops over the array of cities, and then she has like she's creating counts. So counts is an array, and then is an array is
Of count cities.
yeah, so that array, it's a bit complex, right? So she has an array, sorry, and as part of that, the array of counts has the same size as the array of cities eventually, right? So whenever she finds a city, she sets a value 1 to that city. But then that will be okay, because by definition, as we got nothing, we got undefined, right? At some point, she'll change the value to 1. So whenever we go through the same city again, count city A will be 1. So that means that the city was found already, right, Poppy?
Yeah.
Because the city was already found, that will return 1, which is different to undefined. Then it will run else, and then we say, okay, that's my city. So just return it.
Got you. And so, for the for loop, will it not get to the end of the for loop if it finds?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. So as soon as one city is repeated, she will break the flow. She will break the loop.
Okay. Cool.
Say it again?
It will get to the end of the for loop if it's the last one.
Correct. If it's the last one, of course. But the only reason why I find Poppy's solution really interesting, much more than the one I wrote, is in terms of performance. If we have an array of 1,000,000 elements, right, my solution will be less performant because we are iterating twice. However, here is a single iteration. It has one for loop, and as soon as the element is found, if we have 1,000,000 elements, but the city is repeated on index 0 and 1, it will be extremely fast, faster than when they wrote that. Cool. Question number 5.
Could we do a find and find? So,
No. No.
excluding that.
Yep. Yep. You need to use filter, because if you use find inside of find, it will return the self element. Yeah. Remove characters. I think we solved that already, right? Okay, so let's ignore that. Let me just quickly see what you did.
Wrong. And in the end, I was checking it against the one last week
Yep.
and was last night, and it was still coming up as wrong. So I'm not sure if there's
So
something
you want to see
here.
why you did, right? Why it didn't work for you? Okay, sure. Let's have a look.
Oh, because you got space in your split.
Oh, of course. Of course. String of the split, space, yeah, that's not working. If you got, I'm sure someone did something very similar. Look, for example, look Megan, right? So Megan did same thing as you did with a better elegance, because ignoring that Poppy, you can see that you are not indented that correctly compared with Megan. Right? So Megan is correctly using tabs. But ignoring the indentation, yes, that's the main issue, as Mo spotted. We shouldn't use empty spaces. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right. So then, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you know how to do that already. So Daniel, split, filter join, Bala, using a Regex, which is interesting. So he's capturing. Oh, wait a minute. Why, I don't really get, Vala, why you need to use the rest operator here, because you just have one single second argument, right?
I thought it was a variable.
The second one has 2.
It's a variable.
Second one, no, wrong. The second one has 1 second argument. So the number of arguments is...
No, he's breaking. Okay.
No, I know. But I find it a bit unnecessary because, you know, he's gathering and then he's joining. So we can do that. Yes, you know, we don't need that.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was a variable.
Yep. Okay. And then so what he does is, whenever I find a forbidden character, then replace it with an empty string, which is pretty clever, right? It's a different way to do it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Voilà. And then what else? Jonan, filter and join includes, yeah, all these things. Rafa, same thing, split, filter, join, split, filter, join, split, filter, join, same thing, right? Includes, 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 right? Same thing again, again, and again, right? So I think that's pretty much it, guys. Anything else? Any question?
Yeah, do we really care much about performance?
I mean, at this stage of the journey, it doesn't make a big difference, right? So there are big discussions on the internet about how important performance is, because at some point, the most performance solution is not readable at all, right? If you check, for example, on Code Wars, you may have seen, you can vote solutions, right? Some of the top rated ones, they're unreadable, but they are super performant. So what do you prefer, readability or performance? I think it depends. It depends, right? If you're creating something with a relative degree of complexity, the difference of sorting 800 arrays or 8,000 arrays may not be vital. But if you are creating something where performance is the key and you need to sort 10 million elements, you know, if you remember, I give the example that Amazon used lots of inline styling on the HTML, which is considered an anti-pattern. Why they do that? Because that's slightly more performant. For someone like Amazon, that small improvement, they may save millions, right, in servers and stuff like that. So they have a good reason. But that's not generally speaking what everyone's want or have to do, right?
Yeah, is that
Second?
CSS?
That's CSS, correct.
I think even on FT's website,
Mm.
recently, there was a script that had tenfold
Correct.
performance. So, I mean, even though it's running client-side, performance is clearly an issue.
Yeah.
It can become an issue.
Mm.
It's fair to say then that doing things manually,
Yeah.
using loops,
Yeah.
is actually going to be always more performant, or generally more performant than using
Yeah. In that case, I agree. But if we want to, get very deep about that example, I have to say that I wouldn't. I mean, even if performance is a concern, which I respect that, I find particularly weird to break a loop in that way, right? So if you have a loop like that, I find it a bit weird to do return in the middle of the loop. I find it a bit aggressive. So generally speaking, when you have a for loop, you can type something called break. So you do break.
It's really virtually the same.
It's virtually the same, that's correct, but this is a more elegant way to say, hey, I want to stop the loop. I don't want to return something straight away. I'll return something afterwards. I want just to stop the loop. Right? Anything else? No? Jonah and Richard? All good? Cool, perfect. So that was pretty much it. Thank you. Cheers.